This is Andrew Nembhard, and over the last month, I've seen the same comment again and again. You forgot about Nembhard. But trust me, I didn't forget. In fact, last year I opened every lockdown camp by showing his film. Not because he's flashy, but because he might be the most disciplined on-ball defender in the league. And while everyone obsesses over steals and pressure, Nembhard is showing what real containment looks like at the highest level. And it's time to finally break down how. So let's dive in.
Oh man, what a defensive play. Tremendous defense. Wow.
The reason I start camps by showing Nembhard isn't because of one play. It's because of two very different matchups. The first was in the Eastern Conference Finals, guarding Jalen Brunson. Nembhard was glued to his hip. Full pressure, full disruption. Brunson couldn't create any separation. Even with a screen, with off-ball screens, Brunson could hardly breathe. And that was pressure on a huge stage. But then we got to the finals and things were different. When Nembhard tried that same approach on SGA, well, he got cooked early. Every inch became an angle and every move got to his feet and opened up his hips. Pressure actually fuels SGA's fire. So at halftime, Nembhard had to adjust. Instead of chasing disruption, well, he decided to contain it. Now he was managing angles and space and trying to keep SGA in front, catch his attacks with his chest and cut off those drives. And suddenly, well, SGA had to earn everything, because Nembhard wasn't going to give up anything easy, which ended up coming up huge as the Pacers stole Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And that's what makes Nembhard different and such a great player to study. He doesn't defend in one way, he defends how he needs to. And no matter the style, pressure, or containment, he refuses to give up anything easy. But what does that actually look like? Well, it starts with angles. Watch how rarely he opens up his hips. Meanwhile, most defenders panic on the first move. They swivel, they expose a top foot, and they give you a lane to the basket. Nembhard doesn't. He stays square by pushing off at 45-degree angles, keeping his chest lined up to the ball, and technically keeping him in legal guarding position, which is why he's able to meet those attacks with his chest and stand-up drivers. Because when you're moving backwards as a defender, even if you're moving lateral, you're still in legal guarding position. This is where you see the strength and training that Nembhard puts into it really shine, because he's an unmovable object on defense. And that's exactly the kind of work we build inside the Lockdown Academy, an online platform dedicated solely to developing elite defenders. With workouts, breakdowns, and everything you need to become a lockdown defender. Enroll today in the link below. But now let's get back to the breakdown, because if you're driving against Nembhard, you're not going to get an easy layup, you're going to get a collision. And that's the key. Containment isn't passive, it's calculated, which is why he's not just a sitting duck waiting to be attacked. He is stunting at the ball, faking, retreating, keeping the ball handler just slightly off balance without giving up any space, but always moving backwards and containing. But let me be clear here, containment is just step number one. Eventually, an offensive player is going to get into your body. And what do you do then? Well, it's time to use the on-ball jam. When offensive players try to stay hip to hip, well, Nembhard doesn't ride along. He jams back into space. Watch in this clip, as soon as the contact is created, he disengages and creates more space to get back in front. Meanwhile, most defenders get stuck in this position. They're chasing and trying to stay attached without making a big impact. But Nembhard refuses to stay there. He'll absorb the bump, but instead of opening his hips to it, well, he'll pop himself back into legal guarding position, again, not fighting contact, but repositioning himself to create his own contact later. But if we stop there, well, you wouldn't get the full picture, because Nembhard is even more interesting to study, because once players start to get accustomed to this contact, well, they start gearing up to it. They start anticipating that bump on their drive, and that's the moment Nembhard pulls the chair on them. And suddenly the offensive player is left off balance, falling out of position, and throwing up a wild finish. Again, Nembhard isn't passive here, he's calculated. Pulling the chair isn't so much a gamble, it's part of a sequence. a physical expectation. Just like offensive players have counters, well, defenders need them too. And all of this works great in isolation, but the real test of on-ball defense has always been how you handle ball screens, because if you can't survive being screened, well, any offense can erase you. And this, again, is where Nembhard separates himself. First, watch how early he engages the ball. He doesn't wait for the screen to hit him, he shrinks the space early. And that does two things. It creates leverage to get over the screen and a recovery angle to get back in front. And once the screen does come, look at that outside foot. He swings it up and over the screen, allowing himself to stay connected and also avoid the screen completely. And the moment he clears it, he's right back to that same move, repositioning himself to get back in front. The offense isn't so much erasing him as he is erasing the ball screen. And if somehow you got a piece of Nembhard and now he's a step behind you, well, he never gives up on a play, which means the back tip is always a threat. Because whether he's on the ball or off the ball, getting separation is nearly impossible. Because against Nembhard, nothing is casual and nothing is free. And when you watch him long enough, you start to realize, well, none of this works without his physicality and his awareness. I mean, watch how he rotates in this play, going from one side of the floor to the other to anticipate that steal. Nembhard isn't just a disciplined on-ball defender, he's smart off the ball as well. And although we don't have time to focus on off-ball defense in this breakdown, you can watch my full breakdown of how to develop your own defensive awareness. Or you can watch Jaden McDaniels because he also pulls the chair on drivers while playing a slightly different style of defense. So click on either of those two videos to go even deeper. But I hope I've made it clear why Andrew Nembhard is a defender every player should study. Because he doesn't defend in one way, he defends the way the moment demands. And no matter the matchup, Andrew Nembhard refuses to give up anything easy. Thanks so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe to hear the latest news on the lockdown defense camps coming this summer and other breakdowns. As always, I'm Coach Mike with Lockdown Defense. Keep up the hard work.